It's time for World War III Watch. Let's just face it, it's already started. Today is World War Zelensky. That's right, since Zelensky and Trump has been the ongoing story right now for the last couple weeks, we wanted to give you guys an update on everything that's been happening so fast. There's division all over the EU, all over our country. What is Zelensky doing? How is he responding? There's talks of him, mocking us, but then he comes back and writes an apology letter, apparently. So we're going to get into all that and where we are right now. And of course, Elon and his recent assessment that we need to leave NATO. And there's been consequences to him asserting that as well. So let's start from the top. This is the speech that we were not able to cover last week on the show. It actually happened right after our show ended last Tuesday. Trump did this speech, and you guys saw it. We're not going to go through all of it, but I'm just going to put out two highlights, and this segues into where we are right now with Trump's stance on the Ukraine war and how we're going about ending this thing, and his talks with Putin. And of course, the people who voted for Trump, a lot of people who voted for Trump voted for him on this one issue, the one issue of Ukraine. I know personally people that voted for him only for this issue. They said, if we could have one less war with Trump, I'm voting for him. And that is a respectable and commendable reason to do so. And it's not because you're racist or sexist. By the way, thought I'd throw that out there. No. So when this issue came up, let's see. Well, first, this is one of my favorite parts of the speech when Trump basically called out the Democratic Party as a whole. And it's pretty direct, and it's pretty on point, and they really have nothing they can say. And then you just notice the camera shot of the Democrats at the end of this moment. Here we go.
This is my fifth such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way.
Now, look at all them sitting there like that. Somebody pointed out to me that, hey, this is no different than if you go back to 2009, Obama speaking, and the Republicans heckling him. We know about the one heckler in this room that had to be escorted out because he wouldn't stop whining and complaining. What about because Trump claimed that he had a mandate in this election? So what? He said he had a mandate. You could argue that both ways. Who gives a crap? But the childish behavior, the kind of complaining and pouting and acting like children, acting like children. They said, well, the Republicans did that first, so we're going to do it now. And it's just like, yeah, maybe that was a precedent that was set in 2009, but that was so long ago. That was a whole different Congress. The fact that you're doing this and you're going to say, well, it's because you guys treated one of our guys like this years and years ago. Okay. But right now, why are you willingly behaving like children? Willingly. Okay. Now, we can talk about Trump's faults, and we can also talk about how he's not actually a peace president. We know that he's not a peace president. We know because we've been dealing with the genocide in Gaza. We've been dealing with his challenging war with Iran. We're going to get into a lot of that later in today's show. But for this one issue of Ukraine, which he's about to bring up, I'll play this clip now. He's setting these guys up. He's actually pretty brilliant at this because he is a performer. Trump is a performer, and he understands television very well. and he knows that he's going to set these people up. He knows the camera's on them now. They look like fools. Now watch him go in for the kill when he brings up the Ukraine money, the money that's been thrown away at a proxy war where we're using non-Americans as cannon fodder, which means we're having them killed on behest of us and NATO, and whatever we're trying to do to stick it to Putin, we're losing hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian lives in the process. And the money has gone to nothing except that. And it's our money, and they're the ones that are responsible for it. Let's hear him call them out on that. Here we go.
Millions of Ukrainians and Russians have been needlessly killed or wounded in this horrific and brutal conflict with no end in sight. The United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense with no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
Now, obviously, the Pocahontas reference, those of you guys who are new to the table, that's a reference to Elizabeth Warren, who on a previous some sort of application she had done when she was younger in her career, tried to maneuver herself into some sort of deal where she could position herself as being, I think it was like 125th Native American or some weird fraction. And Trump found it and has been calling her Pocahontas ever since. Rightfully so, because she deserves that. If you're going to maneuver around and pretend you're, Kamala does it. They all do it. They love to position themselves with whatever race or culture or tribe, literally tribe that's going to help elevate their career. So that's what that is. But overall, what he's doing here is he's showing that the Democrats have become 100% warmongers. 100%. 100%. If they really believed in the Ukraine war and they really wanted to call Trump out for being a warmonger, they would be more critical with him on all the other wars he's pushing, like China, like Iran, specifically the Greater Israel Project, which they're all in on. So they're all warmongers. Trump just might be a little less of one because he's trying to end one of the wars. That's it. And these guys are freaking out and they're acting like children and they're applauding throwing money down the drain, killing Ukrainians. They're applauding it. And they're almost started to applaud wanting to do more of it. So good for Trump for calling them out on that. Of course, later in the speech, he goes on and congratulates himself on the confrontation that a lot of people got wrong. Obviously, the left got it wrong. They thought, oh, how dare Zelensky comes in he's the hero coming in and our president made us look so bad. No, that's not how that thing went. Trump doubled down in this speech and said, by the way, Zelensky's reached out to me and apologized. Now, nobody in the room at the time could vouch for the fact that happened. Sometimes Trump just says stuff. It's not necessarily verified, but he did say it. But we didn't need to guess whether it happened. It's been now confirmed since the speech. It has been confirmed 100% that Zelensky has indeed apologized for the bad presentation, the bad performance, as you would, at the White House the previous week, as confirmed by Special Envoy Whitcock, Steve, who is our Special Envoy to Ukraine. And he's confirmed this just the other day. Here we go.
Zelensky sent a letter to the president. He apologized for that whole incident that happened in the Oval Office. I think that was an important step. And there's been a lot of discussion between our teams and the Ukrainians and the Europeans who are relevant to this discussion as well. And I would like to describe it as progress.
Okay. Making progress. There's something else we got to get in there, because even though there's this apology, even though it looks like that Trump is making decisions now, not having to run it by all the other NATO countries. It looks as if Elon is even saying pretty vocally that we need to maneuver our way out of NATO. And that's something that, we at the Homo Stuffs have been saying for a long time, people like, Noam Chomsky, his entire career, ever since 1991, has been saying we need to not just get out of NATO. NATO has no purpose of existing any longer. That's been said by a lot of people, a lot of lefties. Okay. So now that you have Elon saying that, Trump seems to be on board with it. How does this sit with everyone else? Well, it doesn't sit with lifelong NATO fanatics, obviously. But as far as in France, I think that they might feel a different way. They're kind of sick and tired of Macron warmongering. Again, this is bizarro world where the left parties, the same stuff is happening in France. It's happening here, where the left leaders, apparently, because we go air quotes, the left leaders like Macron has been warmongering the crap out of Ukraine, overextending NATO's power, just being part of this terrorist organization of stealing land, illegal occupations, NATO expansion, against the Minsk Agreement, against the Minsk Accord, the Minsk II, against all of our promises over the last few decades. And it's the right-wing leaders that have to say, wait, whoa, back off, way too much. So in France, this is happening.
L'Europe, c'est la guerre. L'Europe, c'est la guerre. L'Europe, c'est la guerre. La France veut la paix.
So they're chanting to get out of Ukraine, and they're chanting for Macron to resign. So this is literally bizarro world where you have the populist movement in the street are the anti-war people, the anti-war citizens, challenging a left-wing administration that is warmongering. They've had enough, and they don't give a crap about NATO, just like we don't. The anti-war populist movement here, we don't give a crap about NATO. We want it gone. It's a gang. That's what it is. Now it's not just going to disappear overnight, but we can start making peace with Putin. We can start ending this destruction of Ukraine. We can cut off the funding. We can do little things, little incremental steps to back away. But like I said about Elon, he's been very vocal on X. Now, this part is also important. And I think you guys got to understand that, Elon, he says a lot of stuff. He's very similar to Trump. He's a little more low key, but he kind of just says what's on his mind. And sometimes there's consequences to that. So when Elon is going on, his own platform and suggesting that maybe we get out of NATO, there might be a consequence to that. And what happened on Monday, this was yesterday, in the middle of the morning, Twitter went down. But I guess you could say, well, that happens. That's just a random thing. That can't have anything to do with this NATO thing, right? This can't have anything to do with Ukraine. Well, let's see what happens when Elon gets interviewed, because he started to, investigate immediately. Obviously, that's what he does. He'll investigates what happened. Why did Twitter go down? Here's what he said on his interview.
So an interview with Mr. Elon Musk, who, of course, is famed Trump advisor, CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, chair of X Corp. Elon, thank you for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I want to begin, but among other things, everyone's attacking you for your position. What are you doing in the government? There was a cyber attack on X today, which shut it down and may have been foreign sourced.
Yes.
It's a big story. You want to give us a moment on that?
Well, we're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Oh, well, so that's your suspicion. Is the website, is the internet up? Is it up yet?
It's up, yeah.
It's up, yeah.
There was still a massive cyber attack against X. We get attacked every day, but this one was done with a lot of resources. Either a large coordinated group and or a country is involved. Tracing. So it's still happening, he's saying. This tweet went up after that interview, but he definitely says there's a source from Ukraine. It looks like he's looking in beyond Ukraine and other NATO countries involved with this attack. This is pretty insane, considering that Elon provides the technology for Ukraine's defense system. And so it's interesting that if there's anything here that is even suggesting that Elon is getting punished in any way, or Elon/Trump administration is being punished in any way for its recent shift in the Ukraine war and the money that we're not sending them, the billions of dollars, open check, just blank check that we've been writing for 3 years aren't being written anymore. Is this some sort of payback for that? But why would you do that to the guy that is providing you your weaponry, that he could actually turn it off at any time? He could actually say, if Elon wanted to, he could say, hey, we got to do a maintenance check on the technology. So you're going to be out for the count for the next several weeks. He could do that. Probably very legally he could do that, because, hey, just routine check. Sorry, Vladimir, routine check going on. You're on your own. Okay, you're on your own. Okay, now let's see what Clandestine says. He usually has really good takes on this. So Elon says X is currently under a massive cyber attack by either a large coordinated group or country. If we are assessing potential culprits, suspect number one is NATO members in Europe, namely the UK. So he's suggesting that there's a coordination thing going on here between Ukraine and the UK. NATO are recently desperate to maintain narrative control on U.S. involvement in NATO. Europe would have to foot the bill for the war in Ukraine if the U.S. leave NATO. And Trump and Elon are currently winning over public opinion on X about the U.S. need to leave NATO, and red-pilling millions about the money laundering operation in Ukraine. This is exactly why they are afraid. Exactly why. Free speech on X is a massive problem for those who are getting off the war in Ukraine, because their lies are being exposed and their gravy train is about to dry up. Who has the most to gain from X going down? Well, the biggest is NATO spenders in Europe, the UK, France, Germany, maybe even Poland. All of them have existential financial interest in making sure the U.S. stay in NATO and that free speech on X is shut down. Well, good a guess as any that this is a definitely coordinated effort. We're going to know more if more problems go down with Twitter. So we haven't seen anything today, but Elon's on top of it. We'll see if anything else comes out from this. But this is a war. This is a war of information. This is a war of, we always know that whoever's in the anti-war side of things, we're always on the right side of history, but we're always the ones that are going to be attacked first. So the one good thing I'll say about about Elon and his ability to allow his platform to be free speech, even though some stuff about Israel gets shadow banned, we know that. He never boots any of us off. We've seen it happen a few times. We call him out, but overall, this is a place where we can have our discourse. We can share information, and Clandestine is right. People are waking up to the proxy war, this complete BS, fake theater piece, pretending that Putin's taking over the world. People are over that narrative, and they're also, frankly, over NATO. And so we just have to keep having these conversations moving forward. And luckily, World War III has not officially been called yet, and we're still in one piece, at least as far as Ukraine goes, and this World War Zelensky goes. As far as Israel, well, that's another problem and another story, but we'll get into that later. Thank you, guys. That's World War III Watch this week.